Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Hey everyone, we are back. I'm so excited. So the Global Leadership Academy, we are today doing interviews once an hour, all day long, with each of our board of advisors. And I'm super excited, Wendi, to have you here with us. Hi.
Hi, it's so great to see you, Tina. Hi, everyone.
I know. I have so much that I want to talk to you about, right? And so if you want to just start off and introduce yourself and let everyone know how awesome you are, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Wendi McKenna. I am a mom. I am a wife. I am a doctor of physical therapy in pediatrics. I have been working with kids and their families for almost 25 years now in that field. And for those of you who don't know that there are such things as pediatric physical therapists, the family and the kids that I work with are anywhere from preterm babies all the way through 18, 21 years of age. And most of them have some sort of medical diagnosis or are at risk for. So think cerebral palsy or Down syndrome or autism or sensory processing disorder, really anything medically that originates medically that will affect the function and the participation of that child in for themselves, in their family unit, in their school, with their peers. That's where I'm one of the team members that comes in, specifically looking at how are they moving, how are they playing, how are they interacting with others, through their bodies and thus through their brains, because they're fully connected. And so that's been my passion and drive for 25 years. And then I jumped into the work of transformational leadership and specifically working with teenagers because I think, like many of us, had an interesting teenage journey. And it was, in my family, I wanted for nothing. I had an incredible family life and was fully supported by my parents and got along pretty well with my sisters. I'm the oldest of three. But I put so much pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt sad, and I didn't know why I felt sad. And so then I felt guilty for feeling sad. And then you can imagine it just gets worse and worse and worse. And it's like, I have no reason to be sad, and yet I am. And so I just went down this, black hole into, I think if my parents had taken me to see a therapist, they would have called it depression. But we didn't go there. So
Right.
instead I went to a camp. I went to a camp. They sent me to a camp. They're like, a friend of a friend told them about a camp. Long story short, it changed my life. It was a 10-day
Yeah.
camp. And I learned in hindsight that it was a leadership camp. And so when I literally stumbled upon the work of transformational leadership 6 years ago, I felt at home. And I'm like, why do I feel at home here? I've never done anything like this. I've done professional development my whole life, but not this. And then I connected the dots. It took a year for me to figure out to connect the dots. It's like,
Yeah, because my question is, what was different? My question is, what was different?
About
like when you connected the dots, what was the aha that created that?
Well, I mean, just being in the work long enough, and I know you've been talking about the work all morning this morning, it's unpacking the events that occur in our life and our relationship to them, and really looking at what meanings we have created around these events that then become our belief systems. And so, of course, I remembered that I went to this camp, but I didn't see how it was connected to feeling at home in the leadership training room until I specifically had a conversation with someone about, you know, where do you think this came from? And so then I allowed myself that time to think about, why do I feel home here? Why does this feel familiar, even though it's not? I mean, maybe it was another lifetime. I don't know, but maybe there was something in this lifetime. And then I thought about that camp and, you know, what occurred with that camp second time over that really nailed it for me is that one of the people that, like, I'm still in touch with some of the people today
Isn't
that
that
I went to
crazy?
camp with. And I only knew them for 10 days and they were from a
Yeah.
completely different state, and I'm still in contact with them. But I think what really sealed it for me is that one of the girls that we just hit it off. I became one of her best friends. We were at the same high school, didn't even talk to one another until we went to this camp. And then we go back to high
That's
school.
great.
Now we're friends, like besties, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in that group. And there was another girl who was in that group who also went to the camp. So it was the three of us. She passed away in a car accident when she was 17.
Oh.
And yeah, Suzanne, and she's my guardian angel today. And I know that she's with me. But when we went through this camp together, and then it was the year later that she passed, it was like, for a while, it's like, I still get to get out of my junk because I'm still in some junk because I get to live for her because she can't be here to live. Didn't know I was going to get emotional, but so I felt like I couldn't get out of my rut by myself, but living it for her and serving her got me out of it, like, exponentially. And so then I started to see, oh my gosh, I did that back then. I didn't know what to call it. I was unconsciously competent about getting out of my own hole, but didn't
Yeah.
realize that the way I got out of it was to serve and was to be in service of. And so when I connected the dots, that of course that's what transformational leadership is all about. It's not about me. I get to get out of my own way, which I didn't even know I was in my way until
Yeah.
I did, right? You figure it
So
out
true.
and you
Yeah.
break through it, and then I serve other people for it. And
Mhm.
so it's like, whoa, I did this back then. Now I get to do it consciously and intentionally and really making that much more of an impact on everybody. But it's when I drew that line, I knew that I got to be in a field of service where I was giving all of myself and more to people in need, and not being afraid of, and this is another part of pediatric physical therapy,
Mhm.
not being afraid of going all in and not getting there. Because there are some
Mhm.
times that these kids they're not going to walk, they're not going to run, they're not
Mhm.
going to do the things that we want our kids to be able to do. Um, Actually, I didn't cut. It's so funny.
And
You know,
this is
but
why you're so amazing.
and so, but you go all in anyway, because
Mhm.
it's the journey of the efforting, and it's the journey of the little wins, and it's the journey of making life better for everyone who's connected with that child. And one of the reasons for NPT that I wanted to go into pediatrics, I loved the complexity of it. I
Mm.
loved the complexity of, I'm not just working with a child, I'm working with their siblings, I'm working with their
Yeah.
parents, I'm working with their grandparents, I'm working with their teachers, I'm working with their bus drivers, I'm working with their coaches, I'm working with, everybody under the sun, because they interact with everyone. And when everybody knows how to be with them, everyone is lifted. And so, the work of transformational leadership is uncannily familiar. And of course I feel at home because it's what I've been doing. I just didn't know I was
Totally.
doing
You
it.
just didn't know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? But we have a choice, right? We can drag people down or we can lift people up. It's
Yeah.
really a choice. And so I want you to talk about how it starts with us first, because it does. It starts with us first. So how did you go through that process to really start, because it's a capacity thing too. There's people out there that will people please and support and help everyone else and help it, but not themselves. So how do you create that balance and really take care of yourself as you're serving at this super high capacity?
Well, I think it has also a lot to do with just my personality and what I loved as a kid, and the message that I got from my mom. And my mom said, your job is to discover what you love and pursue it with passion. And so that just set the bar for me to think about what it is that I love, therefore serving me. And along the way, what I realize is that as long as I'm doing what I love, not only am I serving me, but I'm serving everyone else too, because I'm in love and I'm in joy and I'm in alignment and I'm in peace. And so being in that space, I can then give that away. If I'm people pleasing because I feel like I have to, or I should, or it's required, or what are they going to think of me if I say no, then I may be saying yes to serve, but I'm doing it with a feeling of emptiness and have to, and maybe even a hero's complex, like I need to prove that I'm worthy and that I make an impact. And sometimes I fall into that. It's like, why am I saying yes to this? Like, why, and right. And so I check myself, I pause and check myself, and is this really serving my vision, my goal, and theirs?
It's a great power question.
Or am I just going in to make it look better? Am I going in to help somebody because I don't feel like they know how to do it themselves? I mean, I can't tell you how many times in a therapy session that parents would like want to swoop in, like want to swoop in, want to swoop in. It's like, just breathe. So, and at first it was like, they learned to trust me, and that's, learn to trust me. The kids get to learn to trust me. The parents get to learn to trust me. But it's like my goal is to bring people forward. So of course I want to see where they're at. And if I don't let them show me where they're at because I swoop in too fast and I don't give them the opportunity to push their own boundaries, because any child given the opportunity to push their boundary will. They're designed to do that. That's how they grow. It's how we grow. And so it's more about stepping back. And so that's it. Oh man, it's hard sometimes to just keep my mouth shut, or not to let them struggle, and then there's that point where you see and you experience and you get the intuitive hit, like, oh, this is a little beyond their pay grade.
Yeah.
and so now I get to go and I get to be, I'm still a partner, but I'm a partner with a little bit more hands-on versus a partner with a little more hands-off. And I think a lot of people either think I'm all in or I'm all out. I'm either holding the reins and holding the horse so that their head is like this, or the reins are dropped and they're free. And it's like, no. There's like, partnership is about keeping that feel. It's keeping that feel and that connection so that I know when to go, when to come back, and, and to play a dance. It's really a dance.
Yeah. And, so teen leadership is where I want to go next, right? Because you have stepped into trainer for teen leadership, and it's the first program that the Global Leadership Academy kicked up, and we're going into our third round here in October. And so I want you to talk about that evolution, like where the program started, where it's at now, and some of the impact that you've seen come out of that.
Yeah. So when I decided that I wanted to be a trainer, I didn't know that I wanted to go in and do teen training. I didn't know until, like I said, I made that connection of this leadership camp that I went to when I was 15 years old. And so now it's, I'm coming full circle here, and
creating it,
right? It's like, oh my gosh, now I get to, come full circle. And really how that teen leadership program served me is it helped me to see what was in my way. It helped me to break through it. It gave me a space to create friendships and community while we were there, in the 10 of us. However, When we graduated from those 10 days and said goodbye, adios, and everybody got into their parents' cars to drive away, there was nothing else. There was no follow-up. There was no, now I chose to stay in touch with, the people that I was there with. Not everybody did. But that was my prerogative. And so when I called them, because it was so impactful, I called them, I said, what's the next step? Can I coach? Can I come back and be a counselor in training? I never wanted to be a counselor in training for any camp I ever went to growing up. Like this one, I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this because this is impactful. This works. And they said, no, I'm sorry, you have to be 21. And they're like, but you can come back as a camper. And I'm like, oh, I'll totally come back. Like I loved it. It was great. So I went back the next year trying to recreate that which I created the first time around. And for any of you out there who've tried to do that, it was a miserable fail. It was a fail fail. I didn't have it was the same exercises. I was in the same spot of being the student again. I didn't feel like I was at the same space that everybody else was, and it felt like a mismatch. And so I basically what I did and why it took 30 years for me to get back in the space again.
Good things take time, Wendi. Good things take time.
I devalued the thing from the year before.
Right.
I devalued it. I was like, oh, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. It wasn't as transformational. I mean, because I just had this experience right here, right now, and we give the most weight to what has just occurred versus, what happened a year ago, especially when you're 15. And so I knew that when we decided to create the teen leadership program as it is now, it had to have a what's next. It had to have a built-in structure where the teens were supported in their next cut. So we have built in, once they graduate, they're invited back to coach. And the cool thing about coaching is that you never reach that glass ceiling of like, okay, I've made it as the best coach ever. Like, no, you always are moving up and up and up, and you're always working with a different, team of people. And so it's morphing you and shifting you and changing you as a coach to serve the humans who are in front of you. So you can do that over and over and over again.
And level up each time.
And level up each
Literally.
time. Level up each time. And the intention for the teens is once they reach 18 is to go into the adult level leadership program, because the teen program is really, it's an appetizer portion. It's an introduction to, much like the camp I went to. And the adult version is just, it's deep, impactful. You go all the way. And so it is a different space, but when the teens go into that, they are going to be so ready to just like pop quickly and lead the team. Like I see the teens who go through teen leadership as the leaders and the torchbearers and the like going all in when they get to the adult program versus the adults who are like, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah. It's true. We've had longer to be in those patterns than they have.
Of course, and the teens are ready to break through, and the wisdom that comes out of their mouth when they break through and create the lessons, it's like, yep, there's some people who are 60 who are just learning that one. And so you're going to have that many more years of your life to live with this lesson already learned, so that you're building off of it. Yeah. And then, the other thing about this teen program, which is different than any other teen program out there, whether it's through transformational leadership or through Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts or your high schools or really anything, is that we get the parents involved. The parents
track is so huge.
We have a parallel track for the parents. So they have their own initial and intensive, and then weekly work. And then we come together at graduation, and it's magic. And so that's the other piece, because I know I've gone through motivational speakers at high school where I was so like excited about it, or maybe some programs that shifted how I was looking at my fellow students for, a couple weeks. But then, I didn't have support from home. I didn't tell my parents everything that went on at school. I don't know about you guys, any parents out there who, if your teenagers ever tell you anything about what's going on at school, count yourself lucky.
And thank goodness there is no social media.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. I know all that. Like, don't even get me started on that path. But,
Yeah.
but, you know, having the parents be on board and having the kids come home to parents who understand what they're going through and what they're learning and being able to support it while they are also on their journey. So it's not, I know better than you. It's, I'm learning alongside you. And the parents are having their breakthroughs. The teens are having their breakthroughs. They're coming together, supporting one another in their growth. And I mean, what more beautiful way to be a partner with your teen than that?
Yeah. And even just to like sitting in the 2 days with the teens and, watching them come in right away in the morning on the first day to who they be at graduation that's transformation. Like it's literal transformation right then and there. So talk a little bit about what I'm trying to get at is the impact of the program. So as a teen, as a parent, I go through this program. How does it change my family dynamic?
So, and it really depends on where you're starting. That's why it's really important to see where is everybody.
Mhm.
And so we get a very crystal clear, honest, direct, and authentic view of who I am now, how am I showing up, what's occurring in my family, and being willing to go deep and vulnerable about that. We create a safe space so that they don't have to hold it together all day long. Like, how often
Right.
do you have teens who come home who blow up, and then we're upset that they blow up, but really they're blowing up because they've literally held it together all day,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
they can't hold it together anymore, and they don't have the skills yet to be able to blow it off in a way that works. And so
Yeah.
you're the battering ram, and you're the target practice. You get that. And so parents who haven't been through the work take that personally. And even
Totally.
having been through the work, it was hard not to take it personally. And I
Yeah.
knew when I did take it personally, I had to learn how to, be the Aikido master to let it go by, or
Yeah.
to vent it out. So if you have a child who is rude, ornery, short, what the transformation is going to be is someone who is softer, someone who's willing to share openly versus be prickly on the outside because they are desperately protecting the soft innards. Like, you're going to see the soft innards come out because nobody is born prickly. Nobody. So that's for that. For the teenager who is meeker, maybe be shyer, maybe less confident, I don't want to show my face, they're going to be up front and center, sharing what's important to them, owning their voice and their power. And you're going to be like, who is this person? Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad they finally showed up and start to get who I've seen their potential to be, but they never actually lived into it. Now they're living into it.
Yeah.
So there's that transformation. There's the transformation of the child who is like all over the place with everything is exciting and everything is amazing. And I'm going to say yes to this and yes to this. And 2 minutes later, they forgot what they've said yes to, and they never follow through on what they're going to do. And they don't finish what they start. And they've got 800 projects open that are all important to them, but are stressed out of their mind because they can't finish them. And then they feel
Right.
guilty. I mean, now you get a child who's focused. I mean, we might even want to call that ADD and ADHD, right?
Right.
There's
Right. Because I was like,
and
I'm a promoter and you're explaining me right now.
no, right. It's like, we might be like, "Heck, I'm on medication." It's like, stop, like, don't go there first. I mean, maybe medication. And this child could be a promoter. So let's support them in getting grounded in what's important to them and why, and keep the bumper lanes, like bumpers on, like, don't get in the gutter every time. There can be lane bumpers. And so you get to show up as a parent in a different way to serve that kind of child. And then there's the child who's just so afraid to get it wrong, so afraid to start anything that they don't. And they're not going to promise you anything unless it's already done, because they want to make sure that they are their word. And so these are the kids who we want to support in getting, like, taking more risks and getting messy. And, and so these are the types of transformations that can occur. And so that's the transformation for that child that occurs at the end, as they're taking more risks. They're going out and doing it on their own. All of a sudden, the mom who's had to do everything for them, they're like, oh yeah, I don't need anything. I just need the keys to the car, please, at 10 a.m. And their mom's like, what?
And I'll be back at noon.
And I'll be back at noon. They're like, wait, you don't need me to drive you? And no, I got it. But you're going to a new doctor. Yep, I got it. And then having the parent share, like,
Yeah.
where did this child come from? I mean, we get like these kinds of things. It's just like, this is happening right here, right now, in front of my face.
Yeah, the tools are so supportive, because the parent on the other end, that parent track, and why it's so important is because as we work with the teen, as you work with the teen with those new tools, and they're practicing those new tools at home, the parents get to understand what's happening and grow with them. So it's that growing together that is just so incredibly powerful.
Yeah. And I would say, we have tenets that, the pillars of transformational leadership. And one of the most important ones that we, not to put it in a hierarchy, but that we really want the teens to get, and that when they get it, they own it, is responsibility.
Yeah.
If it's to be, it's up to me. And it's not about me, myself, and I, like, alone. It's who do I get to be to create what I say I want to have happen. There's nobody else coming. Like you're waiting for somebody else to come and do it. Like, there's nobody coming.
Yeah.
You're the one. And so if you have a vision, when you have a vision, because they do at the end of this, what's important to me and why, now it's like, okay, so I get to grow into and continue to become the person that has this vision come true and manifest in results that are real and tangible. And so when they get that, all of a sudden they're wanting to learn. So, I mean, I sent my 6th grader off to school last week for the first week, and he's like, I hate school. I don't want to go back to school. Nobody likes school. Who likes school? And it's so funny because I'm like, well, nobody hates school. But I do. I'm like, I get that you hate school. And, I'm like, is there anything valuable in school? No. I'm like, not one thing. Not one. Well, my friends. Yes, your friends. Yep. Your friends. Great. It's great. I mean,
else?
What else? So then we get going, and then it's like he starts, because I'm not going to be able to lecture him about how important school is. He's not going to hear it. But when I
try,
well, that's the thing. That's what we know to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm planting seeds. I'm like, one day they're going to get it, but they're going to hear it 10,000 times. And it's like, okay, yes, true. And maybe change the way that we're approaching it so that they are engaged in the conversation versus just sitting there like this, looking out the car window because you've talked to them in the car because it's the only place that you have their attention.
It's so true.
Which you don't.
I feel that. I tickle you on that.
I mean, I hear that. I hear that all the time. I talk to my kid about important stuff in the car. I'm like, please don't talk to your kid about important stuff in the car. Like, listen to music, have fun, dance, play. Like, they feel trapped. They feel trapped in that car. Now, if they want to engage with you in your car, fantastic, great. But like, it's not a jail. It's not a jail.
I love it. Okay, so I want to talk next about, so you've had this incredible journey of how you've really supported youth, right? Like in all the different ways. And now as we look at the Global Leadership Academy and where we're going, teens are absolutely a part of that, but there's other programs that are involved in that. So you're a board of advisor. We asked you on the board for a very specific reason. Near and dear to my heart. You were literally my first coach when I thought I knew what coaching was. And then here comes Wendi and I'm like, oh, this is what coaching is. I actually kind of like this kind of a thing. And so what does transformational leadership mean to you and your vision and where you're going with your vision, and how does GLA fit into that?
I believe that world peace is possible. I don't think it's just a slogan on holiday cards. But if we are to create that, we must create a huge community and a critical mass of humans who believe that it's possible. And it's not convenient. It has us really question all of our beliefs that we know to be capital T true until we find out that they're not, which can be a tricky process. And
Right.
so, and then when I've had the opportunity to be actively in a community, actively engaged, whether coaching or captaining or training, I live authentically on the outside of that training room to the next level. If I'm ever not engaged, even at the trainer level, it is easy for me to slip back into what is comfortable and what is autopilot. And we see the world on autopilot right now. It is the way that it is. This is the way it always is going to be. We just have to handle the problems as they come up, versus transforming them or nipping in them in the bud, or really just sitting down and getting uncomfortable, being curious versus judgmental. So for me, transformational leadership on the broad scale is about creating peace, love, joy, and abundance in the world. And it starts with every single human being, one at a time, or in a room as a trainer, however many are in the room, that this is possible and that we can love one another and not agree.
Yeah.
We can be aligned to a bigger vision that is a win for all without having the same stances or positions on issues. And right now, the way the world is, for the most part, outside of transformation, is that you've got to agree with me. You've got to be on my side of the fence. You've got to be on my side of the position in order to be on my team. And if we continue to play that game, we are missing out on what humanity has to offer us. And we are missing out on what it really means to be with one another, like 100%, because now we've created an us and them. And there is no us and them.
Right.
We have created it to, be evidence for our belief that there is, but there doesn't have to be. And so GLA, Global Leadership Academy, and being on the board of advisors, there are so many ways and paths into learning about this, growing in it, and being it out in the world, that I want to be a place where not only do we go through the process and then are released, but we go through the process and there's a next step, and we go through the process and there's community, and we go through the process and it's expanding, and we go through the process and maybe, who knows, we have the next prime minister or the next president or the next Nobel Peace Prize winner or whatever it is, but we're growing at a grassroots level, people who really believe that peace is possible. And I will stand for it no matter what people say.
Yeah. And it starts within, right? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, yes, hell yes to everything that you've said. And none of that's going to be possible until each one of us looks inside, does the inner work, so that we can open up the space to actually create that change within us. And imagine a world where everybody did that, Wendi. Like, imagine that world.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I say that really lights people up in terms of like, what? That kind of light. There's a Putin in all of us. There is a Hitler in all of us. And until we are willing to look at what that is, because he can't exist without all of us existing. They can't. And so we get to see, well, who is that in me? What is that in me? Are there parts of me that are ugly? Are there parts of me that don't work? Are there dark sides of me that ooh, I'd rather not, but it's there. Like, we got to be authentic about it, because only when we name it, we tame it. Only when we're authentic about it can we be like, wow, that was holding me back, even though it was not a conscious, it was never conscious. Like, I never thought that I made choices based on this low level vibration of living, but it was there, and it was absolutely feeding its cancer in me. And by the way, cancer comes in many forms, including cancer.
Yeah. I feel like you should say that louder for the people in back.
Including cancer.
Yeah.
So, it's, and so when we are willing, in a safe space, with the support of humans who have gone through it before and who are continuing to up level, which is what this community is all about, we can break through and transform too. And then from that space, starting with me, I can ripple out into the world and touch everybody else. And then here's the thing, you never know. I never know how far my ripple goes. I have no idea. I could be with someone at Trader Joe's today, light them up because that's what I love to do. And then something in their life occurs, and then their life occur. Like, you don't know. So be the source of that peace, love, joy, and abundance or whatever is important to you everywhere. Yeah. And trust that it goes forward.
Absolutely. I just got a phone. I want to say this as we close. It's a quick story. Back in 16 or so, I did my very first day retreat. It was the very first thing. I'm like, why can't I do one of those? 43 women showed up. It was awesome. It lit me up. It's where I found my purpose. Like this, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. 7 years later, a month ago, I got an IM message on Facebook, a Facebook Messenger message that says, "Hey, Tina, remember that Choose Happy retreat that you had X number of years ago? At that retreat, I remember raising my hand and you telling me," she told me the story about how her son he was a teenager, right? Really struggling to find his way, making some wrong decisions, all that kind of stuff. My advice to her was, see him and his greatest, see him on graduation day, see him with that college. That's where I went with her. 1 month ago, he graduated from college with honors. And she sends me a picture with her and her husband and, the son. And she's like, ever since you said that to me, every single day since then, I've done that. And here we are. Right. So it's about seeing people at their greatest, even when they're not showing up like that.
Absolutely.
And it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. The behavior is just the tip of the iceberg. And it's our job to go under the waterline to see what's feeding that behavior and to, join them there and transform from the inside out, from the bottom up.
Yeah. We got juicy today, Wendi McKenna. We did. I want to thank you. I'm going to get all emotional, thanking you and being so grateful for you, because you, we talk about those shadows and those dark moments and working through them. And you were the one who was right there with me as I was going through that in the dark night of the soul and, all the stuff. And I'm sure I was probably a pain in the butt person for you, but here we are, right? Like, here we are. Yeah, like, no, here we are. And it's just such an honor. And I'm so grateful to you for walking this journey and for just being there and for being the powerful stand that you be as a trainer, as a mom, as a wife, as every role in your life that you play. You're amazing. You're really amazing. You're the role model of transformational leadership, for sure. Yeah. So thank you for being here. Yeah. Here we go, GLA, right? Global Leadership Academy. Yeah. So if you are listening to this and you have a teenager, you get to hand that teen over to Wendi and let her work her magic. So
fun. I love teenagers. I know there's not a lot of people in the world who say that.
I
love working with teens.
Yeah, watching you just with them and gaining their trust and just really working with them to see their blind spots and getting through their limitations. It was an honor to watch that. So October 5th and 6th, we start TLE 3. So if you're interested, let Wendi know, let me know, let Donice know, whoever put something in the bottom, like get with us. We'll get you the link and get you enrolled in that. So, all right, Wendi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Love you. Bye,
All
everyone.
right. Love you too. Bye, everyone.
My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out our programs and events at trueyouteams.com. And until next time, make it an amazing day.